Okay, so it's the 16th of November 2022. It's an absolutely gorgeous day and I'm on site here at Michael Green's site in Nairn. So what we've got is a linear feature of Scots pines, sycamore and Corsican pines that are remnant of the original setting out of the property, I would imagine, and they run around the boundary of the property. The younger trees tend to be in good condition. And what we tend to do with these surveys is we exclude negative results. So I've looked at all the trees on site, but I've only picked up data on trees that require work within a 3-year time cycle. Now, because I've ended up at this end of the site, we're going to be doing it back to front in terms of the data tables. But first off, what I wanted to show you is this grouping of Corsican pines here. So there's 4 Corsican pines. You can see the tree tags. So all the trees that we've surveyed are marked with tree tags, and I think they go from 23 through to 39. And I've tagged these trees because they're very significant trees. There is a slight lack of decline, but they lean towards your neighbour's property. And at the base of this particular tree, we've got a fungus, and I just need to check with my lead consultant, but I'm fairly certain that that causes brown rot decay in coniferous trees, in which case these could potentially be compromised, and I would recommend that we do some, well, we'll certainly keep an eye on them annually, but possibly do some resistor graft testing. So that's where we drill in at the cardinal points with a special drill, and it measures the resistance on the drill bit. The thinking being that sound wood returns a different reading to decayed wood. But this particular little one here, which is tagged 36, has got extensive decay in the upper crown there. It's no real risk to anyone, but I have recommended that one for felling. And then we work our way up the garden, and as we come up towards the back of the summer house, there's a number of sycamore trees. The sun is really unhelpful, apologies for that. I'll try and position it carefully. So at the back of the summer house, we've got this large pile of spoil, and I'm not suggesting this is recent, it's historic, but what's happened is it's raised the ground level around the base of these sycamore trees, and sycamores are really sensitive to any alteration around the base of the tree. What's happened is it's led to a decline in these trees, and I suspect that a couple of them have got something called Cretschmeria duista, which again is it's a fungal pathogen that causes decay at the base of the tree, and it can lead to quite sudden failure, particularly in sycamore. So again, you can see the tree tags there, and you can see around the base of the tree there's no trunk flare like you would see normally on a tree. It looks like it's just been stuck in the ground like a matchstick, which tells me the ground level has been raised. This particular one, number 33, gives a really poor sounding, and it's got a head lean directly over your neighbour's garage, as has this one here. So several of these trees have been recommended for removal. This one here has got a cavity. This is number 31, a cavity at the base of the stem, and actually there's a column of decay that runs all the way up to these partially occluded pruning wounds here. I don't think that one needs to come out at the moment, but it is something to consider, particularly as it hangs over your new summer house there. And then we continue to work our way up this side. These trees in this particular area are fairly young to semi-mature. Excuse me, reasonable vitality. Just as a kind of general management recommendation, I try and avoid this kind of thing, tipping around the base of trees. They don't react very well to it, particularly if it's green waste, because it leads to the nitrogen deficit in the soil. And then we got a grouping of Scots pines in here, and that particular tree there is stone dead. And threatens your neighbour's property, so that one is recommended for removal. And that is tree 30, stone dead, needs to come out. Walking and talking is not easy. And as we come up here, we've got a grouping of 3 Corsican pines in reasonable condition. I mean, just in terms of a general management recommendation, some people want to, some people don't. It probably depends on who is using the garden, whether there's children, grandchildren running around. But it is worth considering that the vast majority of these trees have got an incredible amount of small diameter deadwood in them. Now, the trees look fantastic if all the deadwood is removed. However, it's a fairly considerable undertaking. It's probably 3 or 4 days work for a team of tree surgeons to work their way through this block. It would look fantastic. It would be good for the trees, but I'm not suggesting it's essential. And then when we come into this area, what we got through here, and it's just one of those things when you're dealing with dangerous trees, we've got a large mechanical wound to the side of that tree, and there's a lot of mechanical wounding in the upper crown as well. So that one is tagged for monitoring. You can see that extensive basal wounding there, which is probably going to be irrecoverable. I'm not sure the tree will manage to occlude that. As we work through this area, there is lots of, well, there's 2 or 3 trees that have got stem damage to them. There's a little tiny, where is it? There's a standing dead Scots pine tree in here as well. Might be a little bit further on. Oh, it's just in front of me. So just by the van there with the white marks, there's a little dead Scots pine stem that needs to come out. The thing is with pine trees, what will happen is it will get to a certain point and then it'll just suddenly fall over. I suspect this one I could almost push over, and that's tree 26. We can also see it's got a very small fungal fruiting bracket on there as well, which is indicative of some decay in the centre of the tree. There's a nice little lime tree in there. General management recommendation: get those epicormic growths, water sprouts removed around the base of the tree, because what happens is, although it doesn't do any harm to the tree or anybody else really, but what tends to happen is it becomes so impenetrable that you can't get through there, and it looks like there's a really large pruning wound in there, so it looks like a stem was taken off the side of that at some point. As we work through this area again, lots and lots of deadwood, a slight decline in the sycamores, but you would expect that when you have this amenity grass area, which almost acts like a layer of concrete and prevents gaseous exchange, so that's moisture and oxygen getting down to the roots. So you do start to get a lack of vitality in sycamores, which is why it has this sort of witch's broom look at it. When next time you're out in the countryside, if you find a sycamore tree and have a look at it, you'll see it won't look like this at the tips. It won't look quite so stag-headed. And then we're nearly back to the start. We've got tree 24 there, which is that stone dead Scots pine, which really needs to come down ASAP. We've got Scots pine 25 there, which has got a dead top. And then these trees over in the corner there, again, lots and lots of small diameter deadwood, which is, in times of storm, is going to drop down into your garden. However, you may choose to live with that. Most people do. It's quite an expensive operation to remove the major deadwood throughout a block like this, but it really does look nice. My final kind of comment, totally unrelated to trees, is your conifer avenue down there. You're starting to really lose width through there, and the trouble is with these is you can't cut them back hard. You'll just end up with a horrible brown side to them. So I don't know, you might want to consider having those replaced at some point with a deciduous hedging. So that concludes the tree survey here. The management recommendations will be within the report, itemised between ASAP, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. I would suggest an annual monitoring visit, which is just a walkover by myself or one of my colleagues, just to make sure everything is okay. So there we go. Have an awesome time, and I will speak to you soon. Cheers, bye.